Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Woo! All right. Welcome aboard. Thank you all for coming today. Very excited to be here on the boat, be here in Cannes, see all of you this morning, especially I'm sure after a late night last night. That first night is always tough to get past, but I'm very excited to be here. We're going to have a great conversation today. This is an exciting year for us. We're at Cognitiv celebrating a decade of deep learning, and no better way to do that than have a conversation about AI and how it's affecting performance, specifically in the financial services space. And I have a couple of great people here this morning that I'm excited to speak to. And so today I'm going to be here talking to Andrea Zaretsky, who's a CMO, Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, E-Trade, also at Morgan Stanley, and also Nicole Estebanell, who's the CEO of Mediahub. Yes, I got that right. CEO of Mediahub. And we're going to talk about how reimagining performance leveraging AI makes a huge difference, but also the human element and how important the human element is in all of that as well. So let's get started. Nicole.
Hello.
Hi. You stepped into the role of CEO at Mediahub last year. A lot going through your mind, I'm sure. What's top of mind as you bring your wealth of experience and fresh perspectives to leading through change?
So I think it's been about 8 months.
All right,
since
so
8 months. And having joined Mediahub, I mean, it's an exceptional agency. And as I've gotten to learn our people, we've got some of the most creative, innovative, disruptive talent in the industry, which I think is amazing. And we also have the privilege of working with some of the world's greatest brands and client partners. And it truly is a privilege. And what's been top of mind is we economically as an industry going through so much change, was how to lead Mediahub through all of this transformation without losing momentum, right? I mean, if we think about it, as an industry, we're going through massive, never before seen disruption, consolidation. Globally, we're going through macroeconomic uncertainty. We've got clients that are facing headwinds like never before, pressures from tariffs, budget pressures. We have clients asking, tougher questions, and media being under more scrutiny than ever before in terms of the contribution to the business. And so it's been focused on how do we service our clients and design teams that can be agile and responsive and smart. And that's just part of it. The other part is how do we invest in our people? Because you can't lead through transformation only top down. You really have to bring people along with you and understand, tell them what we're doing, why it matters. And so that's what I've been focused on. Like, what do our clients need now to succeed? How are we investing in our people doing the work? And then how do we ensure that Mediahub is built, for what's next and also for what the business kind of requires today without losing momentum, which is,
key. Absolutely. Key. So Andrea, from your perspective, what kinds of shifts are you seeing in performance space that are reshaping how marketers need to show up, especially with everything that you just talked about today?
Sure, absolutely. So first, happy anniversary to Cognitiv.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Woo! So yeah, it's an incredibly, let's do some class. Love that.
And
let's clap for another 10 minutes. So it's, being in marketing is incredibly dynamic. And I think, throughout my 2+ decades, it's never been more incredibly fast-paced and changing until now. And I think particular emphasis on the performance marketing side. I think over the last, if you were to say the last 10 years, since we're talking about anniversaries, obviously the launch of social media, advanced targeting, and now the dawn of AI, it's always been incredibly fast-paced and so much to get our arms around. But I look at it as a positive. It could not be more exciting. And I think all of the incredible tools and capabilities that have been unleashed for us, as well as AI, it's just going to make our jobs so much easier and help us be more relevant to clients. Because at the end of the day, it's all about reaching out, finding the clients, engaging with them, adding value to them, being relevant and contextual. So I think it's just an incredibly exciting time.
Yeah, no, I love that perspective and being proactive and looking at it as an opportunity as opposed to a challenge, because we have that conversation a lot.
How lucky are we all?
It's unbelievable.
It used to be a lot harder.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the tools themselves. You see, and you see how efficient and how it changes your ability as a human to do your job differently.
That's right, and we have more time to spend on creativity.
Exactly. So, I mean, in finance, you have unique challenges, right, with regulations and high value conversions and all these different challenges that come with long decision cycles.
Yeah.
How are you seeing innovation show up differently in the financial space? And where do you think AI is going to make the biggest impact?
Yeah, I think, it begins with efficiency and productivity. At Morgan Stanley, we had some very incredibly savvy folks who went out and built a relationship early on and learned about the AI space to help enable us. And I think where we started, and what's particularly, not only financial services, but the first place I think we're seeing real relief is in the service center, right? If you think about it, and also for me specifically, enabling our financial advisors. We have such a wealth being a little double entendre, a wealth of thought leadership. We have, leading economists, analysts, research, and we want to serve our clients the best we can. Now with AI, we can quickly search through our enormous database to find exactly the right piece of content at the right time for a client, which helps us, build that relationship, which is what we're in the business of doing. We want to be, the number one partner as you go through life, not only for financial wellness, but everything you're going through. So that kind of unlock is amazing. Another one, my favorite, is just even being able to recap a meeting when you're with a client. Imagine, like, it takes a lot for all of us to take notes. We're not really paying attention. Now we can fully focus on the client, be really good listeners, and it summarizes conversation, it synthesizes it takeaways, and it automatically emails it to a client.
You're opening your
So I'm
mind,
super psyched.
right?
Yeah.
It's
So
amazing.
it's incredibly exciting for financial services, and I think all the industries, all the verticals.
Nicole, when, from an agency standpoint, like we talk a lot about AI, and how are your teams leveraging that? A little clarity on how it's truly useful in your process too, because we certainly have a lot of conversations and there's a lot of questions. I'm curious, how are you using it and how are the teams using it on the agency side?
Sure, and I think to dovetail into what Andrea was saying, I mean, I love the promise of AI and for us to be able to work more effectively, more efficiently. And what Andrea was saying in terms of, like, from her perspective, be able to recap meetings. For us, we're looking at AI as, like, from a utility standpoint. How can it make us work smarter? How do we plan, like in our planning console? How do we unlock audiences better? Do scenario planning at speed? How do we employ that into our workflows, like through Asana, to be smarter in terms of how we collaborate, because that then unlocks the headspace to get to a greater insight, a greater creative idea. I think of AI as getting out of the starting blocks quicker. It's not the end result. It gets you to a quicker place to then unlock a nuance when creativity or culture, and bring that kind of human ingenuity. I think the second part that we're focused on is how do we educate clients? Like, Andrea has, like, a team that, is very well versed in terms of AI, and there's, like, deep research there, but we have clients that are asking a lot of questions. And so we're helping to educate them in terms of how we are planning from a media standpoint, because sometimes the gap isn't just the tools, it's the educational piece. And if we can bridge that gap, then we can start to have conversations around, okay, for your specific business, where does AI have a role and where doesn't it? Because it's going to be different based on the brand, based on the maturity, based on where they are in the process. And so it's a really exciting time, and I love that we're having this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, going back to the human element, you hit on that with creativity.
And I can even build on,
Right.
being able to observe Nicole's team in action, even, from my perspective as the client, when I get a new opportunity, a new area of marketing, let's say we want to launch advertising for bank products for the first time. Now Nicole's team, faster than ever, can come up with the strategy, the buying, use incredible tools and capabilities and partners to find the audience and get us results faster than ever, so that we can iterate, optimize, and be so much more successful. So I feel it in practice with Nicole every day.
And you're probably finding that you're having then the more conversations around, like, the business impact.
Correct.
Like, not the day-to-day metrics. It's like, okay, the team has the foundations, but we're having conversations around what does the business need? Like, how are we looking around corners? So
It helps us be so much more strategic.
So, I mean, you're parlaying into a good question around performance and how you define that. Like, as we move forward, how are you defining specifically performance, knowing that we have these different tools and it's being looked at in different ways?
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Sure. So I think we're looking at every step of the funnel. And I'm, I have to be able to measure as much as I can. I'm always hoping for attribution so that I can have credibility with my important partners like finance and technology. They want to make sure that we have a really good return on investment. So measurement's key in my business. It's, am I finding the right audiences? Am I engaging with them? If it's digital, what are the clicks? What are the actions they're taking afterwards? Like, if it's E-Trade, for example, are they opening an account? How are they funding that account? How quickly are they getting engaged with our business? What are they reading? What are they doing? All the things. Are they, eventually broadening the relationship? So it's incredibly important. At the end of the day, I'm accountable for the investment, and, hopefully that it's accretive.
I would say for us, and I think what Andrea said is like performance is like she's accountable for the investment. And so for us, it's like, what is the impact that that investment is making? It's not a single KPI. It's like the momentum that it drives. So, every brand has a different need. For some brands, it's foot traffic, it's subscriptions, it's tune in, it's valued conversions, it's long term, like growth. And so for that, you can't treat it all the same. And I think when we start to look at performance as like a business outcome, not just like a set of KPIs that sit in a dashboard, you start to have more strategic conversations. And so sometimes with brands, we're talking to them not as a media partner, but as a growth partner, as a business partner, because that's much more impactful in terms of understanding how close we are to what the client needs.
One thing I would just build on with Nicole's team, having this incredible unlock and be able to have these strategic conversations. There's such a wide array of things we're trying to accomplish at the beginning of the project, just defining together what are going to be the measures of success for this test. We try to do 80-20 rule, 80% tried and true, 20% experimentation. And for that 20%, we're like, what are going to be the metrics of success here? How will we know if we're ready to scale? So we are able to have those really important conversations up front and align up front, which I think, helps manage expectations and keeps us super honest and transparent.
Yeah. We talk about speed and efficiency with AI. Are there specifics that you can give us in terms of not just speed, but more precise, more intentional, more effective? How are you using AI to be more effective, very specifically?
Let me go first.
You go first, yeah.
Okay.
You want to go first?
You go first. Rock, paper, scissors.
All right. Please build. One thing I'm particularly excited about, we built a marketing GPT that we just released to the marketing organization as well as our partner organizations within Morgan Stanley and Wealth Management. We call it Marketing Muse. And, as I described a little bit earlier, Morgan Stanley has incredible thought leadership. Sometimes these are 50 to 100 page thought leadership pieces that might be for a more institutional audience, one of our, many financial partners. How do we distill that down in a quick way for an end consumer? So we built this GPT where we're able to take that very incredibly cerebral report, just choose which audience we want to talk to. Is it a new investor? Is it a financial advisor? Is it a corporate client? So it modifies it, it streamlines it, it makes it incredibly consolidated short in the voice we want it, in terms of the audience we want to serve and speak to. And then we can choose what format we want it to be. What is the output? Do we want a social post, an email, a web post? So being able to do that used to take months. And now we can do that, with the snap of a finger. So that's incredibly exciting and giving us so much time back to do other things. Yeah.
And then from a planning standpoint, so we've got AI built into our planning platform, and then we've got an audience console that can allow us to look at audiences in a much more nuanced way and dimensionalize it in a different way. So when we look at scenario planning, channel planning, we can look at different types of audience cohorts. And then when we marry that with partners such as Cognitiv, we start to create plans that are more dynamic in nature. And we start to look at audiences in a different way so that what we're feeding back to a client isn't just impressions. We're starting to look at, why does that audience matter? What makes them high value? How are they behaving? How do we need to pivot and test in a different way?
Yep. Let's dig in a little bit about the power of partnership, because you clearly have a very strong partnership. Nicole, how are you building relationships with clients that support experimentation, feedback, sharing, all the details that come with obviously what makes a strong partnership?
I love that. And I think one of the things that makes Mediahub special is we have a lot of long-standing partnerships that, 5 years, 10 years, like it's just incredible. And I think it starts with trust. You need to have trust. You can't come out of the gate with just these big ideas. You have to show to a client that, one, I am like the steward of your brand, and there is a duty of care with how we operate. And then we've got the foundation, like the basics in terms of the day-to-day, and then how we show up with that. And then once that is there, and once Andrea knows, like, okay, the team has the day-to-day, you start to have conversations around, like, what does testing look like? What does success look like? And you start to lock arms on, like, where do we want to take a big swing? Yep. Where do we need to pull back? And then how do we collectively run at that? And that comes over time. But once you get to that, you're starting to build plans where the teams start to feel empowered to bring big ideas to the table. And then it starts to create like even more creativity.
I love it. Well, Andrea, what does a strong client agency relationship look like to you? I mean, we're in this performance-driven environment. So I started my career on the agency side. Things have changed dramatically. So what is that for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, open communication. I love an agency that pushes me and challenges me. I want to be challenged so that we can learn and grow. I rely extremely so much on Nicole to bring in outside innovation to help us disrupt what we're doing, help us grow, and bring in incredible partners like Cognitiv who can help our business. So important because I'm not necessarily having all that external opportunity going across industries, having a first look. So really rely on a partner like Nicole to push our business forward and help us grow.
So I think we're actually coming to time. Yeah, I got that thumbs up back there. I have to keep an eye on that. Question for you as we're looking ahead. So in celebration of Cognitiv's decade of deep learning, we're closing every panel on the with the same future forward question. Sticking with our theme of 10, what do you see as being the biggest underrated opportunity or advancement impacting marketers in the next 10 months?
You go first this time.
Woo!
That's a good question.
Notice how I passed that one right over?
You take that one.
Nicole, that partnership.
Over to you, Nicole.
Dude, we talked about that, how we're going to riff. Yes. Okay. Are we at time? No, we're not. We got just enough time.
Tick, tick.
I would say I think we're going to go beyond just talking about personalization or pretending that we have it cracked. I think
That's mine.
Kidding.
I love it.
We'll both say 1, 2, 3, go. And talk about quality of the signals. So we're going to dimensionalize more. We're looking at like what success looks like through AI. We're going to be able to have a greater understanding of who we're reaching, who that consumer is, and actually the value that drives for the business beyond we look at kind of just standard metrics today. I think it's exciting. I think we're going to be able to start to look at things in a different way at a speed that we haven't been able to do that before. So I think that's going to be great. Yeah.
And very similarly, just to build, as a consumer, we know we love brands that know us, that anticipate our needs, and that exceed our expectations. So, in terms of personalization at scale, we've been talking about it for a while, right? How does that really get activated? I hope in 10 years, in a much more powerful way. And I think we're building to that future together. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great conversation to have, leaning in, talking about collaboration, taking the leverage that AI brings and using it in good ways. And I look forward to many more conversations. And I thank you again for coming on board and having this conversation with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Stick around. Have a beverage. Enjoy.